What is up YouTube, and welcome to this The Boys video. And wow, what a finale that was to the best show I've watched in a very long time. A lot has been said about the weekly schedule, but personally I feel this weekly schedule has been much more enjoyable, and I get the frustration from some of you, but we had some great moments and even some surprising twists and turns. But here we are, the final episode, so let's break this down. There will be spoilers in this video for the episode and the finale, so do please be warned, and if you did enjoy the video, then please do consider dropping a like down below and subscribing with notifications on so you never miss a video. So we start with yet another Vought PSA about the dangers of supervillains and how to survive a supervillain attack at school. Besides locking the doors and windows, that advice is decent, but the rest is absolutely awful. Telling kids to arm themselves to fight, and the teacher even have a Vought approved firearm in their desk. Yes, it's just awful, and this is just a parody and send up of something that politicians actually wanted to do in real life, and it's funny but also actually quite harrowing how much this was probably going to happen. We then have Mallory and Neuman speaking to the Secretary of Defense, who is, I wonder, could be the comics version of Dakota Bob. Dakota Bob was someone who became president in the comics universe and had Vic the Veep as his second in command. And that's very interesting considering that where Veep, or at least Vic the Veep, is in the show. Of course, Vic the Veep is Victoria Neuman in the show, and considering she has powers like the comic book version, albeit just a bit different, it's unclear what her game plan is other than take down Vought, it seems, as in the comics she's actually a Vought puppet. It's a good take on this, and making her behind the heads pop in is a neat little twist, and Vic did become president in the comic by incapacitating the president, but was then killed in Homelander's attack on the government. Compound V is being used by, or at least wanted to be used by, every branch of the government, even ICE, and, well, it seems like the president is put in a state of emergency here after the head popping so they can get people out and have soups everywhere. So we know that this is Victoria, and she is now in Congress. She's playing a deadly game and seemingly wants to somehow both get Compound V and take out the soups while being one herself. The Force flag almost got V to be bought by the government, something that Stan Edgar was thrilled with, as it seems to give them so much more money, as that is the key. And the key here is, I thought that she is with Vought and being used to get the government to buy Compound V or use Vought more, while also disavowing them at the same time. This is similar to Nina Domenko's arc, where she actually wanted to take over Russia with Vaught's help of exploding soups, a different Compound V sort of type of chemical. But it's interesting what they're doing here, and they seem to have combined Vic the Veep and Nina Domenko in one neat package. Now, Becca is on the run just as the boys are planning to take out the Seven, as they believe that Vought were behind the court head-popping scene, but as usual, Huey wants the peaceful option, which doesn't seem to work whatsoever, as Starlight backs him when they come up with a plan to get someone to testify against the Seven and Vought as a whole. And Starlight does kind of start to realise that they need to use something, and she's got very powerful powers. But we learn that Stormfront and Homelander were not behind the attack, and they suspect Stan Edgar, which is on the surface a good shout, as Stormfront says he's smart for one of those people, which Homelander does actually wince at. He's just not down with the brash racism. He will let a whole plane of people die and kill non-stop, but Nazis, yeah, he's just not down with that, which is hilarious, and it's like the infamous comic where it turns out the Joker was teaming up with a Nazi and was like, yeah, no, you guys are worse, and takes out the Red Skull. He even seems to have had enough when Stormfront mentions white genocide and alt-right conspiracy, which was spouted by right influence, just far too much. Starlight and Huey actually end up going to Maeve, as Starlight thinks that she is the ace in the hole, only for Maeve to say no, as she's just too tired of this, and she seems to have been in the Seven a long time, and I imagine she tried to change things for the better, only for it to not work and become jaded. We finally get the meeting between Edgar and the Church of the Collective, as Edgar declines to have a fresca. Maybe he knows it's just way too dodgy, but they try and get the Deep and A-Train back in the 7, only for A-Train to not be accepted because, well, he has a bit of a friction there with Stormfront, considering she's a massive Nazi. And, well, Edgar says that it's business and he has to keep her happy, but she wouldn't want A-Train with her. She was also a member of the original church, which is curious, and most likely the Collective was an early Nazi conclave in America as they came over from Germany, which is interesting as A-Train hears of all of this and knows it's BS. He decides to leak this information over to Huey and Starlight for one thing and one thing only: the money. Billy decides that despite what he said before, he will help Ryan and will help Becca try and get Ryan away, and calls Edgar to make a deal for him to be handed over to Vought so he can live with Becca without the reminder of what happened. And I like this exchange. It shows despite what Billy has done to mess with Vought and the 7, even killing a 7 member, Vought and Stan can, well, at least they only care about the money, and it's clear here, which was the same in the comics as well. We see Ryan at the tower with Ashley, who's having yet more of a hair fallout due to stress, and Ryan is reciting all of the states, which is interesting as later he's also saying them all by name when he's in the cabin after his meltdown. And, well, he had a meltdown at Vaught's version of Hard Rock or Planet Hollywood Cafe, and there was a supe who recited the states' names in battle, and that was Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy will be appearing in Season 3, and in the comics, Soldier Boy was the leader of Payback and was actually not the first one. There was quite a few different versions of them over history, and he was a character who was involved in World War II. And my wild theory makes me think that Ryan was going to be the next Soldier Boy. It would make sense as they unwittingly had a Nazi on their team. So how else could they fix this by having a Captain America knockoff? I admit it's a wild theory before you start commenting. Wrong! And, well, we also learned that Black Noir is out of commission, and everyone's not so favourite child murderer is a charcoal brick. In the comics, Lamplighter didn't actually die due to the compound V in his veins and became a V zombie, something I think that they're going to do with either Black Noir or Stormfront now she's a charcoal briquette. Homelander does attempt to train Ryan with his powers, but it doesn't go well as Stormfront tries to gaslight Ryan about how people are coming to kill him due to his skin colour, which is actually what she did in the 40s with her friends, and it's an increasingly dangerous right-wing rhetoric, but they come under attack as the news about Stormfront being a Nazi leaks, and the boys neutralise the super hearing of Homelander and Ryan to split them up as Becca and Billy go to take Ryan. Billy reveals his plan, and he just couldn't go through with it as he decides to send them to Mallory as he realises that Ryan does need to grow up with his mother, even if he is becoming a bit of a wetty. I guess that it's better than being a psycho masturbating off of a skyscraper. Homelander is livid about this, and it turns out that all the blood on his face from the trailer was from the Vought security team sent to take Ryan. We did think that would be him taking out Mayev. We'll take an L on that theory, boys, as Homelander realises the end is nigh for him and doing whatever he wants. The fight scenes in this episode are nothing short of incredible, and the girls get it done scene when Mayev arrives to kick the living heck out of Stormfront, which was essentially the same as the comic where the boys and Love Sausage kick Stormfront, is almost panel for panel. But Stormfront flies off and lands with Ryan, only to fight Becca and almost killing her as Becca stabs her in the eye. This is changed from the comic, as when Stormfront first went up against the boys trying to take out Kimiko first, well, Kimiko was the one to destroy the eye, and Ryan uses his heat vision to take, or at least save his mother, but it messes up, and he starts to destroy Stormfront, who's only standing there speaking all German-like. And there were no subtitles for that, so let me know what that said if you speak German. But Ryan actually tried to save Becca, only for her to die, but it's not his fault, and Becca wants assurances that Billy won't let Ryan turn out like, obviously, his father. Stormfront could also return, as it's said that she's being held in a secure facility and may end up just like Lamplighter's story from the comics where he's kept at the tower. But Ryan sides with Billy as Homelander becomes distraught as brave Maeve comes to save the day. That rhymed. As she says she will go nuclear and leak the airplane footage, which is also a big thing in the comics, but swapped for 9/11. She wants to go full scorched earth if he does anything. Well, she doesn't care because no one will truly love him after what has happened, and that is his whole life's aim as he had no family. Starlight is now back on the team and all the blame for everything is heaped on Stormfront. And I bet Stan is so angry and confused that he doesn't know what is going on with the head-popping thing. It's a new era for the Seven as Starlight is back and Homelander is neutered due to Maeve and he gets cucked, some may say. He sold his soul for the Nazi coochie. It didn't work. I don't think that was worth it there, but poor Deep, he's still not back in the Seven there, as A-Train takes Stormfront's role there as they Vought see an opportunity to virtue signal, whereas before they wouldn't let him on because of a Nazi, now he's let on to try and mitigate the PR disaster from having a Nazi, as the Deep decides, you know what, F Fresca, and he's now going to be kicked out. And it's similar to Eagle the Archer, and they also have all control of his money, which is so very Scientology or cult. And he says that they're descended from space spores. But Huey now is going to work for Neuman, as Mallory also says to Billy that she, or at least Neuman, is siphoning off secret funding to take down Soup. So I expect the arc of Billy now going nuclear and wanting to wipe out the Seven and other Soups with Compound V, with the popping thing will actually happen here, but with Newman's mind powers. Huey, I expect, will discover all of this as he is so unlucky after wanting to be legit, but he's with Starlight, so it's not all bad, is it there? And they can listen to all the Billy Joel they want. And lastly, we have Homelander's own love sausage being beaten to within an inch of its life, as he is there on a building just saying he can do what he wants, but you can't, can you? So that was actually a similar scene that was cut from last season, so they've put it back here for some reason. I thought it was just a bit weird, but some people found it funny, and I'm glad they liked it. I loved the finale. It was just so very, very good. And I'm going to do a lot of theories. I've got a lot of theories. I'll break out my Victoria Neuman theory. I will break out my Soldier Boy theory as well. And I've also got, later tonight, we have got Bly Manor, Ending Explained, coming out as well. So keep an eye out for that. We've got a big weekend of content, and FIFA's just come out as well. So not even FIFA 21 is getting played right now. We've got a big weekend of content. So stay subscribed with notifications on. Drop a like. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.